walk made so that he could claim lane number 1.
He talked about not hitting Jimmy Shane, and thankfully he didn't.
Yeah, that was key.
That was really big, but we'll see. I want to see what the 40 has got for the 1. You know Vilwalk's going to want lane 1 again. You know that Shane's got an incredibly fast boat. So can Dave Vilwalk, who was just a mile an hour slower or so in this morning's test session, does he got that power, that speed, that he can keep up with the 1 and really give him a challenge to see if he can pull out a heat win?
Guys, real quick, we are set. We had a false start on our 5 to the 5 countdown, but we are now at 9:30 until the start, so we'll be up here running pretty quick, have boats on the water. I heard you talking about the U3. Mitch Evans is on the radio with Jimmy King. I stopped him. It's great. You get all the radio guys right here. You can answer all the questions standing on the tower. But I stopped Mitch on the way up. I said, are we ready? And everything's all fixed. And he goes, yep. I said, do you need 2 more minutes? And he goes, nope, we're all good. So I said, do you need some points? And he goes, we're going to go out and try and get them. But, boy, this is a tough heat to get some points in. But we'll see what they can do. That boat can run. We know it can run. And give him some clean water. Get him to jump at the start. And as I like to say, if he's on an inside lane, you'll have your hands full trying to drive around him.
One note about this is that right now the 2 boats that are fighting for the trailer position in this afternoon's final are in this heat. And they are right next to each other on the points ladder. So the 3 and the 440 are going to try to see if they can gain some points and get into that final, maybe even be on the front row of the final. But the 3 has been, it right now would be the trailer boat in the Columbia Cup later on this afternoon. And, you know, he's going to want to be at least out in front of the 440 for this one.
And, you know, that's a great point, Kevin. And the interesting point that you raised with that conversation is, imagine if we were running a normal H1 Unlimited race, the 3rd section of heats is the last one before the final. This would be the last opportunity to get points. But because we run the Gold Cup format here, we've got 2 more sets of heats to go. So that plays to the advantage of the Griggs Ace Hardware U3 and the 440. 2 more opportunities to move up into that top 6. Anything can happen.
So lane number 1, who's going to make the move? Dave Vilwalk's always been one of the craftiest when it comes to trying to gain that lane.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that, especially with the way he was testing this morning. He was just pinned on the buoys, at least down here. Kevin, I don't know if you noticed it, but he could have put his hand out the window and touched that apex buoy when he was going around.
Yeah, he was right on the line. And after yesterday, I think that he's going to do everything he can to be back on that line again. Yeah, he didn't win the heat, but we saw how aggressive he was going to be so that he could be in lane 1. How does Jimmy Shane respond to that, though? I mean, that was an incredibly aggressive move yesterday, something that maybe caught Jimmy Shane by surprise and was in Vilwalk's aggressiveness. But now we have an opportunity to Shane's seen it. Now he can be ready for it. But will there be a new move that Dave Vilwalk tries to get onto that lane 1?
Well, and Brad, you talked about the testing session earlier and how well the boat looked, the Beacon Plumbing 40.
It did.
The other part of that, though, is that on that final lap that he was out, he cut across the infield just like he did to gain lane 1 yesterday.
Yeah, I went home last night. That was the first thing I dialed up on YouTube. I wanted to see what that move looked like from start-finish line with Tate Meyer's camera. And I thought it was a whole lot closer than it was.
It was well-timed.
It was very well-timed. And as far as if Dave Vilwalk has something else up his sleeve, let me tell you, that guy's trick bag, it's a deep one. It's a real deep one. And Vilwalk would love nothing more. He's not in a national high points race, really, but he would like to go out right now and send a message, put a flare across Jimmy Shane's bow, if you will, and say, hey, I'm here. And you're going to have to deal with me before the day's out. He'd like to give him a message, I can assure you.
We're about 1 minute to the 5-minute gun.
Yes, we are. I'm going to head up on top, and we're going to go get our perch, put my watch, which is set. We are at 5:45.
And again, the home street, Jimmy Shane, number 1, the U1. The U3, Griggs Ace Hardware with Jimmy King. Also the 40, Beacon Plumbing with Dave Vilwalk, and the 440 bucket list with Dustin Eccles. Will be heading out of the pits momentarily onto the Columbia River course. And then we'll have the 5-minute milling period before the start of Heat 3A. 3B will come up later with Miss Tri-Cities, J. Michael Kelly in the 8, Corey Peabody in the 9, Pinnacle Peak Consulting, both of the Strong Racing Team boats. 11 J&Ds with Jamie Nielsen, and the 12 Graham Trucking with Andrew Tate in Heat 3B, which will be after the HAPO Over the River Air Show. Countdown getting underway as we head back down to the pits, and our American Radiator pit reporters, we see the boats being positioned as they will push off from the dock.
First boat away from the dock, the U3, the Griggs Ace Hardware, Jimmy King. Good to see them come off the top end. The other dock, next boat away from the dock, coming out almost together, Dave Villwalk in the U40, the Beacon Plumbing, Jimmy Shane in the U1, the Miss Home Street. The 440 bucket list is still sitting at the dock, but oh, Kevin, here we go. You've got some great-looking race boats coming at you. Water conditions are absolutely perfect. The flag atop the blue bridge is hanging straight down. Let's go racing, guys. It's race day at the HAPO Columbia Cup.
And Jimmy King early on, right there against the buoy line. Dave Villwalk goes out way wide, but comes back down, gets into lane 2. Jimmy Shane taking a little more direct route than the 40. He'll come out, bounce around through the wake, and hang out lane 2 as well. And then here comes Dustin Nichols down the Griggs backstretch. And the 440. So all 4 boats up and running. All 4 boats. It's going to look like they're going to start.
Looks like a driver's parade.
They are pretty separated.
Yeah, they are. They've got all of them have 3 rooster tail length leads.
Jimmy King would be more than content if that's how it finished.
Yeah, you're right, I guess. Hey, somebody's cutting across the infield, everybody. Guess who?
Hey, guess who? Looks like a lot of orange up there.
Dave Villwalk already to the front stretch and claiming lane number 1. It's early.
He jumps in front of, it looks like, Jimmy King.
Yeah, King's going to slide back over to the inside. We're going to have a little wake to deal with for Jimmy King.
And he'll be okay. We're
Yeah,
still
no question.
3:15 to the start.
At the exit pin, Buffalo Brothers turn 4 onto the Payne West Insurance front stretch. The home street and the 440 with Dustin Eccles back down to Tire Factory turn number 2, Kevin Rounds.
Villwalk and Jimmy King both come all the way down here. Villwalk a little bit wide out there. Jimmy King a little tighter to the buoy. Both a little bit different positions in terms of timing. Jimmy King not quite yet done with lane 1. We'll see if he decides he wants to cut over at some point.
I think, Brad, it's fascinating the way we have 2 boats on the back and 2 on the front now. And how they're all going to end up together is just what this exciting milling period is all about.
Yeah.
Villwalk across the ESCO Electric infield.
That's what I was just going to say. So, yeah, you got Shane and Eccles down here at the bottom end of the race course, and now we've split our other 2 boats because Dave did what Dave does. If that's a good statement, very Villwalk-esque.
Are we about 2 minutes?
We are 2:15. 2:15
Yeah.
to that. Here goes Dave again.
Yeah, Jimmy Shane cut a lot of power there too, so this is where you have to watch for the beacon on the top.
Oh, boy. Watch Dave. Watch Dave, because here we are at 2 minutes.
He'll have to go past the midway point before he can cut over.
But if he does, he would be able to get in front of Jimmy and be cool. He's at $150 right now.
You know who might be in the catbird seat on all this?
Jimmy Shane cuts.
But now here comes Dave.
Dave's going to try to get back to the front stretch in front of him.
Looks like yesterday. Got to go around that start buoy. He does. It looks good from here.
It was really close, too, to that buoy.
You know who's in the catbird seat on all this? Oh, now he's cutting. I thought Jimmy King might be in a prime position to take that lane.
He's early.
He would have been very early because we just now stepped inside 130. So we're at 125. Dave is going to sit in 1. Watch for King to go up, and he'll cut the course across the top end.
He's going at near full speed at this point, trying to get over there.
He'll be okay.
That might play out okay for him as he gets up and will probably cut in, and he will. He comes around to the front stretch across the ESCO Electric infield. So on the back stretch, so right in front of you, Kevin Rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave Villwalk, lane 1. Jimmy Shane, lane 2. Actually, he's trying to hang out the lane 1. Not sure how he can keep it there, but he's hanging out in the wake of the Villwalk.
He can go again.
Oh, Jimmy King's going to cut across ESCO field, infield to the back stretch.
He'll be fine. He's just going to be wide. 43 seconds.
Now the question is Villwalk in 1? Looks like it. Villwalk in 1, and then you've got Jimmy Shane in lane number 2. Lane number 3, it's going to be the bright red 3, Griggs Ace Hardware on the Griggs backstretch. In lane 3, Eccles will push outside into lane number 4. Clock Clock counting down, and we're at about 20 seconds to the apex. And on to Buffalo Brothers turn number 4.
seconds.
Bill Walk in 1, Shane in 2. Now we start to see King in 3. And on the outside, Eccles. Boy, what a pretty picture coming off the exit
4
pin.
seconds. 3
onto
seconds.
the front stretch.
2, 1, mark.
And it is a clean start down the front stretch. Jimmy King is leading in lane number 3. On the inside of him, you've got Jimmy Shane, and in lane number 1, Bill Walk as they head to turn number 1.
Yeah, Bill Walk could be in a tough spot here. He's in lane 1 as they come down to the corner. It's going to get tight for him in there, Kevin.
Oh, but Bill Walk, he got a little too loose there, I think, and Jimmy Shane able to get a rooster tail lead in the back. Now the battle's going to be for second. Jimmy King showing some power down the Briggs backstretch.
Yeah, he is. He really had a better turn. Dave Billwalk hit the slop on the inside and backed out of the throttle. He did not have a good run. And Butch Finnegan turn number 1 into Tire Factory turn number 2 up the Griggs backstretch. It's Jimmy Shane in the lead as he dives into Shell Sun Market turn number 3 over to Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 and onto the Payne West Insurance front stretch. Bill Walk is on the inside with a shorter course around, but Jimmy Shane has the boat speed and the momentum. The race becomes for second place with Jimmy King in the Griggs Ace Hardware on the outside, Bill Walk on the inside in the 40 Beacon Plumbing. Jimmy King is going to pull even with Bill Walk as they come down the front stretch for second place.
Yeah, Jimmy King's in a tough spot. He's going to pull up alongside Dave Billwalk, but he's driving a big course. Now, watch Shane. He can move over on Billwalk, but I don't think he's going to do it.
Yeah, he's hanging out at lane 2 right now. Bill Walk much better turn that time. Now he's got about a rooster tail on Jimmy King. Jimmy King drops down into lane 2. He's trying to shorten the distance for himself and gain on the 40.
And he's trying to pull back inside and get up with Dave Billwalk on the back stretch, but Billwalk with a wonderful run up the Griggs backstretch, and he'll dive into the Sun Pacific Energy Shell Sun Market turn number 3 and hold on to second place with King on the outside, back about a rooster tail, maybe a half a rooster tail now. Lead for a second place with Dave Billwalk. The race leader across the start-finish line now is Jimmy Shane with 1 lap to go in Heat 3A. Second place, Dave Billwalk by almost a rooster tail coming down the front stretch. But Jimmy King's going to try to reel him in. I don't know if he's going to have enough real estate to catch him.
But he's in a lot better spot right now because no longer is Billwalk in lane 1. He's outside of Shane. So right now from a lane position, King is tighter to Billwalk.
Yeah, Billwalk is out wide. He's about lane 3 or 4. Jimmy King, though, is riding even bigger course. Billwalk, much better turn again. Now he's got about a rooster tail and a half, 2 rooster tail lead on Jimmy King.
Yeah, Dave Billwalk really settled his boat down in the last 2 laps, the last 2 trips around the Butch Finnegan turn 1 into Tire Factory turn number 2 at the bottom end of the course, and he's able to pull away from Jimmy King with over a rooster tail lead now for second place. The race leader is coming off the Buffalo Brothers turn number 4 exit pin onto the Payne West Insurance front stretch, and the checkered flag is out. One more time for Jimmy Shane in the U1 home street, and a 3A victory for Jimmy Shane. Dave Billwalk onto the Payne West Insurance front stretch, and Jimmy King jumped back inside of him and had an opportunity to gain some ground, but Billwalk's going to hold on to second. Third place will go to the 3, Griggs Ace Hardware with Jimmy King. Dustin Eccles still coming up the Griggs backstretch, and he'll dive into the Shell Sun Market turn number 3 and come around for 4th place points in the 440 Bucket List Racing. So Jimmy Shane will get the victory as the boats head back to the Neil F. Lamson pits. And the excitement, Kevin Rounce, was all at that milling period, and it was quite a lot of fun to see who was going to end up where.
We joked about the repeat from yesterday's final heat, and we saw a near repeat of the move that Dave Billwalk used yesterday to get into that lane 1, and it looked initially like he might be able to hang out there, but Jimmy Shane's boat is really fast.
You know, and we saw this in some of the racing here and also at the Richland Regatta. Sometimes that outside lane, 2 or 3, gives you a little bit smoother conditions at the beginning of the race, and you have a little bit more boat speed, carry a little bit more momentum through the turns, and that's what we saw with Jimmy Shane. And obviously he's got a really fast boat.
And it handles well.
Really well.
He's talked about it all weekend. I mean, he's had a perfect weekend, so he's had nothing really to complain about, but it handles beautifully in the turns, and you know, and Dave Billwalk struggled that turn 2, that
did.
Tire Factory turn 2 right here at the beginning, and once that kind of got settled out, and he could just sort of set on sail. He was much better that second, third lap, but I don't know what happened in that first. He might have a thought or two about that.
I'm sure he'll share it. Special thanks to Farmers Exchange, our title sponsor on News Radio 610 KONA, 98 years in historic downtown Kennewick, and mowerhome.com. They have complete commercial and residential power equipment sales and service with Toro, Echo, Husqvarna, Ariens, Gravely, DR Power, Red Max, Shindawa, and a whole lot more. It's really about the service. Free pickup and delivery in the Tri-Cities with Farmers Exchange. Also, thanks to Bunch Finnegan and Bosch Appliances, they have refrigeration in stock, and it's hard to find right now at appliance stores. Bosch refrigeration in stock at Bunch Finnegan, 90s Columbia Drive in Kennewick, and online go to bunch.com. Should be heading down to the pits shortly to hear from our drivers, and Jimmy Shane victorious in the home street U1. Tire Factory turn number 2. That's where you find great service along with great tires. Michelin, BF Goodrich, Bridgestone, Uniroyal, all available at Tire Factory. 2 locations in Pasco, Dupertale in Richland, Wheeler in Moses Lake now, and at TireFactoryTC.com. Brad?
Michael.
Glenn?
Hi, we've got Brad?
Go ahead, Glenn. Go.
All right. We'll talk with Jimmy Shane. Boy, that was a good race out there. Talk to us about the race, I guess, before the race, the milling period. What's going through your mind when you're trying to get your position?
Yeah, we're, obviously everybody's vying for that lane 1 position, so it's the shortest way around the track, but we've got a really fast boat. I feel like we can be in lanes 1 or 2 and be in really good shape, but come final time, that's all going to change. Everybody's going to be putting the best stuff they have in the boat final. You're going to see the speeds pick up from all the boats in the final heat, and we're just prepping and making the boat to set up for a really good final heat here in Tri-Cities, and we're going to keep working at it, keep looking at the data, and keep throwing stuff at the boat.
3 for 3, 2 yesterday, 1 today. Statistically, that's perfect. Do you feel like you guys are running about perfect right now?
I mean, right now it's hard to say any differently. The boat is performing just unbelievably well. It flies over that rough water so nice. It's one of the advantages of building the new boat and having us being able to do the weight and balance in CG where we want, and it's paying large dividends right now.
All right, Jimmy, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Well, we heard it, Kevin.
Hey, let me jump in.
You got
here.
it, Brad.
I got Dave Villwalk standing, who was kind enough to come up the dock and wait for us here. So, you were a tick late, it looked like, from where I was watching him, and you're on the inside lane in turn 1. It can get tight that way.
Yeah, I got up low and slow, and that's not the best setup for that. But yeah, I was a little in the back seat, and got through the first turn, and got 300 points. That's what we needed to do. We needed to be ahead of my friend, the Coopers. I guess Ed's in the hospital. He's not feeling very good, so shout out to Ed. But I had to get ahead of them in order to get into the final thing, and so that's just another one that moved us a little closer to making that final.
And as we talked yesterday, you can't win it unless you're in it.
That's right, exactly.
We've learned a few things over the
years. Yeah. It doesn't pay to get in the piston match early.
No. So, good run. Your boat looked really good this morning. It looked good out there now.
Yeah, it ran good. It wasn't the best. I needed to get a good run at the start to run them a little harder than that. The crew worked real hard last night. We put in a new motor that I'd worked on last week. It's a little better than the other ones, and hopefully it'll be good enough. We'll put a little different set in it, a little different setup in it, and we'll have some for him later.
Somehow, I am sure you will. Good luck, my friend.
Thanks.
Dave Villwalk, he knows what it takes to win on this particular river. Trust me, he's done it many, many times. As the Beacon Plumbing comes out of the water and is about to come right over the top of my head, I'll get out of here.
Brad, I thought that was interesting how he said he didn't really get the start at full throttle like he needed to be in a position to make it through clean at that Blue Bridge turn. That was just too rough. He had to back out of the throttle and slow it down.
If I had $1 for every time Dave Villwalk in an interview had explained to me after he just pinned somebody in lane 1 after they were late to the start, and he'd go, yeah, they want to get on that lane 1, but if they're late, it's a double-edged sword. Well, today it was him.
And it becomes even more of a problem when you're going up against the home street with Jimmy Shane, and the perceived power that we see out of that boat.
Yep. And the 1 just looks invincible, but we all know that's not necessarily the case. There's a reason they have to go out and play these things on the field and race these things on the water.
Though, like so many things, Brad, there's a human component.
Yep, that's it. And you can make a mistake, and it can be a really simple mistake. Not saying that Jimmy's going to do that, but
you never know.
He does not have this thing sewn up. For those of you, again, I think I've talked to a specific group of people a number of times this weekend. If you have not seen this before, what you're looking at is a very, very, very fast race boat driven beautifully by young Jimmy Shane.
Yeah.
But don't think he's got this thing sewn up, and they're not planning a photo op with the big trophy.
Hey, Brad, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You know, sometimes people in sports will talk about, well, this was a good loss, and I personally don't necessarily believe that, but going in at this stage, perfection, can that give you a false sense of security, like, hey, we're doing all right?
I don't think so. I think they're smart enough to know that that nobody is showing everything they've got just yet. I think that Mike Hansen, who's been around the block 100,000 times, he knows that he's up against Dave Villock and Kelly Stockland, and that is a brain trust that does match or exceed anybody. And he's not, I don't think he's naive enough to say, yeah, we got everybody covered here, we don't have to do anything. Nope, they know there's something else coming out of that truck. Nobody's brought their best combination out yet. Not yet. We're not going to see it until the final. Like Dave said, we just got to get in there first. Well, they took a big step that way. They also had the opportunity, Glenn, to measure themselves against Jimmy. He saw how fast Jimmy got out of the corner. He saw how Jimmy could get through turn 1 in lane 2 and hold him in tight. Dave actually told me, he said, for a moment there, he said, I thought I was going to miss the apex buoy in turn 1. It got really tight. And this was before we got him on the interview, but I think he learned a lot, and that's the important part. Still got another set of prelims to go.
Well, again, congratulations, Jimmy Shane in the home street, taking heat 3A. We have more action coming up after we go to the HAPO Over the River Air Show, about 10 minutes away from air show action. Special thanks on our broadcast to our friends at Anderson and Zentz Dental in Kennewick. The weather forecast, 102 today.